First time I met JR was I heard his voice at Ariana's home in 1979. It was January 1979, and I felt like I'd come home. It was a very small MSIA seminar, beginning of Ariana bringing insight to the UK, and I was home. I still felt a little messed up in my life, a lot to do, but something changed. I just felt connected in a way that I'd never felt welcomed before in my life. So after I'd met JR, heard his voice at least, the way that I became more involved was Ariana Huffington at that time had asked JR if she could bring Insight, this new seminar that the MSIA people had participated in New York and Los Angeles, to London. And we were working towards having this seminar. I was one of the first people to enroll, and JR was coming in person to that, so it was very exciting to me. And the seminar took place in June 1979 in the Café Royal in Piccadilly, which doesn't exist anymore. It was very grand with chandeliers, and about 100 people turned up into this room, which was incredibly exciting. In those days, there were quite a lot of well-known people there because of Ariana's connections. So that was also quite an occasion. But the main thing that happened was the truth and the loving, and the oneness, regardless of if somebody was like me, a young student, or if somebody was a very well-known celebrity, or if somebody was old, if somebody was very young. It was a human, heart-opening experience. So JR was, I think he was in the back of the room most of the time. And I remembered that towards the end of the seminar, there's a process where we interact with each and every person in the room in a very particular way. And he was next to me during that time. And I had, like I was overcome with this loving and the energy of loving, and I needed to move away from the circle. And he really helped me to stand in a new awareness of myself as a spiritual person. That sounds weird. It was very grounded, but it was like he walked around the room with me and told other people, let her walk. And in a way, that was my first experience of understanding that I needed to stand up in the opening of the heart. That was my beginning with JR and Insight. So in that early seminar, which was, as I said, 1979, I looked at Russell Bishop, who was leading the seminar then, and I remember thinking, there's no way I could ever do that job. But I think a hidden message inside me was, but I'd really like to. And I became involved for many years as a volunteer. I was at all the seminars, and bit by bit I began to go down the route of learning to facilitate. And I took many seminars. I ran the UK office. I went to Los Angeles and did Insight 4, which was the professional training, and came back and eventually became an Insight lead facilitator in the UK. That was about, I think it was about mid-80s or something that I became a facilitator. And that was I think it was a really good experience for me and also for the UK, because in those days, English people had a bit of a, is that something from America? So having a British accent and presenting the seminar was, I think, a good thing for our community. And it was an incredible time, because Insight the seminars were full. We had 100-person Insight 1s every 2 to 3 months. We had regular Insight 2s, Insight 3s, and a thriving grad community. In fact, we also had a number of the MAP seminars that Russell came over to do, which was then the Insight Business Seminar. You know, we were really lucky in the UK because JR seemed to like us. I don't know if it was the cream teas, but he came regularly to the UK. And I was really lucky enough to have him facilitate in many of the early Insight seminars I was involved with. And he also came for regular MSIA events. And we would have these packed out hotel room, conference rooms with people listening to JR. I think JR liked coming to the UK, and I don't know if it was that he just loved cream teas or he really loved us. I like to think that he loved us as well as any other work he was doing. And in those days, we had a number of MSIA seminars that he presented and Insight seminars. He would come at the end of an Insight seminar on the final night on a regular basis and give a seminar to our community, and the room would be full. Often he would be hilarious, and he has a way of, he can tell a dirty joke and it's divine, and the entire room will just crack up laughing. And when we had MSIA events, the room was, we had big conference facilities, and the rooms were just absolutely full. We had just hundreds, it seemed like hundreds of people. I don't know if it was hundreds, but it was full, always full of people coming to see JR. So I feel like he came, and then it was up to us. And we had, I think because of the energy that he put into this country, we had a community where we were pretty thriving, particularly in Insight, for years. When I was facilitating, and I facilitated here in the UK, also in France, I also went to Brazil. I traveled quite a bit with Insight. Israel was amazing to do Insight in. Facilitating Insight was, I think it was three things for me. One, it was a fantastic challenge. I'm not a natural person to get up on a stage and lead a seminar. So for me personally, it was like JR said, step up. Again, it was like that first step into your spirit and overcome your lack of confidence and do the work. So that was an incredible opportunity for me to build confidence. It was extraordinarily heartwarming and a privilege to conduct these seminars where, well, I didn't conduct them, I just was a vehicle for them, it felt like, where 100 people would be in a room and they'd start kind of like this. I don't know what this is about. And even though we presented some really good information, the experience of the seminar seemed to be nothing to do with the information. And to see people in the room see beyond their differences, see beyond their own limitation, and begin to get a sense of themselves as loving beings that had a personal power that they could use to live their lives in an authentic, full way, with an integrity for what was true with them. It was really, I think, the best work that I've ever been involved in. And Insight, I think JR's teachings for me are always multidimensional. I learned about business. I learned about international business. I learned about how to relate in different cultures. So we would be in touch with Insight offices around the world, which is what the world's like now. Most businesses are global. We kind of learned how to be a global culture, to really work in one organization, in one location, and yet still be relevant in different parts of the world. It was a very profound time, and lessons continue to come forward from my experiences in all those years. JR, You are my rock of ages. You are my love. You're my traveler. God bless you always. I love you. I adore you. Thank you. Thank you, love, as you said to me once. Thank you, love.